Welcome back, ladies and gents, to the English broadcast of the LPL. We're coming into our second game between EDG and Rogue Warriors very shortly. We just have to look at the draft right here, look at the adaptations.
I thought someone burped because of that music. Sorry. Continue.
We're going to keep this one rolling. You can see EDG walking back out to stage right here, and you can see Caleb backstage just having a giggle. He's just like, this is fantastic. Maybe I didn't even need to show myself today.
Having a bit of a giggle. Mate, yeah, Caleb's having a hell of a time right now because he just watched Edward Gaming bend Rogue Warriors over. That was an absolute blasting right now. And I personally don't know how they recover. I think it starts with banning Alistar because it's a huge problem. It's a signature pick for Mako. But well, you just saw him on your screen, all smiles, and that's what you don't want to see.
I will say this, learning my lessons from what happened yesterday, you get that one game out of there, you get that one quick
Shake out
one.
the jitters?
Exactly, shake out the jitters, and a lot of it comes down to looking at execution once again, because once again, I actually thought the draft was perfect. We both thought these drafts were coming through. It comes down to how you execute them, because Rogue Warriors thought they had an early game draft with how they were playing, and then that's where the discrepancy came along.
And again, I have to look at the Rise Gragas. I like the champions, I like what they can bring, but it doesn't make sense with the identity of if you're trying to prevent a dive bottom, executing on that dive and then having access to synergize with the Braum to try to gank that lane repeatedly. They were on defensive duty, and I would like to see them more on offensive duty.
And to that point, how do then Rogue Warriors look to exploit like the jungle role, the 2 versus 2? Because you would see that as one of the major weak points we're talking heading into this matchup. But Haru, it seems like he's being masked right now by the early game out from EDG.
Unleash Flawless.
Unleash him. The last time we saw Flawless specifically getting unleashed, it was on the Kazakhs. Remember the Kazakhs and Kaisa combination that we saw? A lot of devilish,
Backline
backside.
dive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Backline damage. Where you just saw, I think it was BLG when that happened to.
Yep.
Perhaps it was just getting.
I try to put that series out of my mind too. It's okay.
It was essentially the backline never feeling safe going into team fights, no matter if it was a large area or just in a really tight corridor, because you need to be able to track the Kazakhs. Now, ordinarily in this meta, I'm not in favor of Kazakhs because of how risky it can be, lower windows. But with this composition specifically, and with Rise, you have a lot more gank paths.
I think he's going to go back to the Gragas, but I would love to see Lisa. And Insect picked it up yesterday, I believe,
That's
in the
true,
EU
yep.
Masters. Flawless is almost undefeated on the champion, I think sitting at an 85% win rate. He's got the most solo kills of any jungler in our league, I believe sitting at 9. So just unleash this guy. Give him a champion. Have him go toe-to-toe with Haro, because that's where you can break EDG, and that's where Rogue Warriors actually should have the talent-per-talent matchup.
And that was the story earlier on in the split, was Rogue Warriors having a tough time bridging in their early game to their late game strength, and it was Flawless that went on to these early game junglers, level 3 ganking junglers, to be able to be that solo bridge. That's why I had him #1 in my jungle tier list. So perhaps you just arm Flawless and he will get you to that point.
And it was a big surprise, seeing Flawless just not have a great game right there. We saw Kalura as well, just being out of position, mistakes we don't really see from Rogue Warriors. But we are going to send it over to the casters and get right into Champion Select.
Thank you so much, everyone. We are right back in it. Game 2 coming at you between Rogue Warriors and Edward Gaming. Will Rogue Warriors be able to recover, or will Edward Gaming just put a pin in it and close this series out here?
And I'm starting to see a trend already, Dom, even though this is the draft phase of the second game, and that is the Tahm Kench banned by EDG and the Kai'Sa picked by Rogue Warriors. The blue side and the red side, respectively, as well, between each of these teams. And it does make sense that this is what you'll see as a response. I'm not going to be surprised if Avaris follows.
Yeah, already the Alistar picked up. Rogue Warriors running it back. Bans look to be pretty close to the same. Gangplank was banned last time instead of that Galio. So could already be seeing something a bit different, but in terms of these picks, it's 3 for 3.
Yeah, if I'm going to change anything right now for Rogue Warriors, they should put a higher priority on their jungle role. I think they should be picking the Sejuani for themselves and not going towards the Gragas, or you could give him something like that Kazakhs that we have spoken about at length already. This is also something that got banned away from him again. Flawless is a player that when you unlock him, he does wonders for the Rift, and you don't need to have a mid-jungle 2v2 type of duo because you're always going to have a Karma or something in the mid lane or a Ryze that's always relevant in a 2v2. So it's about empowering yourself in the jungle 1v1 role. Trundle does that.
You're exactly right. Make Lockless the Flawless. The answer, though, Leona for Killua in the bottom lane. Hey, if you can't beat him, Killua him.
Wow. Or just pick Leona with Kaiser, because it's a sick duo lane.
It really is.
It's actually very good in working with the Kaiser passive, of course, has a lot of engage. They know they're against the Alistar and the Varus, and no one should be surprised that this is how the draft panned out for EDG. They won in 25 minutes with this composition so far. That's the other side where things have changed. Trundle, Leona, more engaged, stronger 1v1 in the jungle, less, perhaps, level 2 ganking, though I will say a lot of Trundles go pillar second and gank bottom lane, and they have got a Leona.
Yeah, of course. That pillar, if you're able to displace your target when the pillar erupts from the ground, that counts as hard crowd control for Kai'Sa. So she gets the plasma, she gets the ability to dive into the back line. We'll see if that's the strategy that they try to utilize, as now EDG, they know there's already a very strong jungler for Rogue Warriors. We talked about the mid jungle synergy for the two. Now they're going to start paring down Doinby's champion pool.
Lots of respect with the Ryze being banned away here. EDG showing that they don't want to give those flexes over to the Rogue Warriors roster, and they get the counter pick for themselves on the red side. I'm a big fan of this draft in the second game from EDG. Their composition as a 3-man is already well-rounded for themselves as well. The tank, the damage dealing. They can choose to be a playmaker in the jungle role if they want. They could choose whatever they like.
Yeah, we're still looking for Haro to pick up to answer against Flawless. Let's see what he takes in the jungle.
I'd still be Sejuani personally.
Perhaps holding on to a bit of counter pick here, though that would be quite interesting, knowing that they would still need to see the top laner for Rogue Warriors. So, interestingly enough, it's Mouse who will get counter pick.
Yeah, both top and mid will be revealed here. No opportunity to have any kind of flex picks. This is something that I've been waiting to see from Doinby for quite a while. You've got the Vladimir as a possibility as well. But blind picking, of course it's into the Talia this time. Picking Vladimir into bad matchups never goes well for your team, especially not against someone that wants to win lane, win game like EDG did in that first. As there we go, round it out.
The Cassiopeia and the Ornn. So this time we've got a much more full composition from Rogue Warriors. Crowd control on everybody to set that up. As Edward Gaming now know what they're up against. Doinby going to try and put the super carry pants on once again.
I have a question for you, Dom.
You reckon he's going to lock it in?
What's the counter to Kaiser's ult distance?
Oh, lack of vision. Oh boy. Haro runs out the timer. Or
I guess
might
that
just go
works
for the Kindred.
Interesting,
Haro. You know, he's had 19 days to prepare, nearly 3 weeks, as you've mentioned. Why not break out something no one has seen in a long time?
And when you look at EDG's full composition, they've got a tank in the support role. They've got the hybrid tank, of course, of Ray with that Gnar in the top lane as well. In a 5v5 sense, this EDG composition with the Kindred is nearly impossible to kill. And you want to dive into a backline as Kaiser and try and assassinate people? Well, now you can't. Now the tables start to turn back against you if you ever use that offensively. And that's what the combo that Rogue Warriors have got is very good at as well. So that does mean with this last pick, if things go to plan for Rogue Warriors, it shouldn't matter too much. But there is always a chance that they can get counted out here. And they can kite backwards.
We did see that regular season loss from Pepper playing Kindred previously. But this is the chance now for Edward Gaming to try to put a win on that champion for EDG. Can they continue this momentum? That game number 1 was an absolute statement. We've heard so much smack talk from Clearlove, from Scout, from everyone on EDG saying, all right, it's playoffs. We're taking it seriously. Now they're showing us that they mean business. It's not just words. It's time for action.
Well, they've shown that, yeah, it's not just time that they've spent studying their opponents, but they've got the picks themselves. They've shown that their jungler, they've got some faith in him. They can give him the Kindred. They can empower him to carry, but he has to scale up, and that's the risk that EDG are going to make here. That early first clear over Kindred isn't always the best. They tend to run out of resources quite early on, so it needs to be protected. It needs EDG, perhaps, to come towards him, and that's unprecedented for the most part.
We'll see how this rounds out for Rogue Warriors as we get into this next match. Again, this is a best of 5. They've still got 2 more games to lose, 2 more games to try and turn the momentum back. Potentially look for the reverse sweep if they end up dropping this game here, but still, with all 10 of these players loading onto the Rift, it's 12 weeks on the line, and you do not want to let that go in a swift 3-0. Rogue Warriors, what are you bringing to the stage in Game 2? Still, the shouts continue as everyone cheers for their favorite players and teams. But Edward Gaming already taking that game one, feeling a lot more relaxed. We saw the players smiling and laughing as they made their way back onto stage. Rogue Warriors, on the other hand, looking deadly serious.
Very happy campers in the EDG camp for themselves, even Clearlove backstage giggling. So everyone's happy there. Rogue Warriors 1-0 down in this best of 5. It's not the best place to be, but it could be significantly worse. And you still go backstage, and you may not feel great about the result, but you know you've still got another loss in hand if it comes to it, and then it starts to get desperate. So for the most part, you still come in. You're still very good coming into a second game. Should not be too bad. It's just about resetting. First game never happened.
Now take a look at what's happening for the jungle for Rogue Warriors. We've got a blue leash from EDG. Ray actually stepped into the jungle to scout out Flawless, getting a leashless start. And the bottom lane of SMLZ and Killua were trying to sneak up into the brush bottom lane. Could have been a bit of cheese that was just denied.
Trundle usually excels at getting a leashless start, and it's very hard to track where he is. So nice little proactive moves from EDG to find him. There's early pressure in the bottom lane. Should just be poke.
Yeah, Zenith Blade onto both iBoy and Mako.
And I think the big reason, though, Dom, that you would try and get vision of where Flawless is to unlock Haro to jungle path where he would choose, and wherever is free for him to do so. For the most part, a Kindred doesn't want to run into a Trundle when Trundle can clear the jungle even solo and barely lose 100 health.
Oh no! Killua gets knocked under his turret there.
That's just disrespect.
Yeah.
He's alright. He's still a tanky Leona in the end, and they have got control of the level 2 spike, but it's the kind of mistakes that you don't really want to be making if it's just a free potion used.
And to come back to that jungle point you were talking about, Haro definitely wanting to be unlocked on this Kindred, control those marked scuttle crabs as much as he can. First one will spawn on the bottom half of the map, and Flawless already on his way down there.
Yeah, vision
Oh,
also
and look
plays.
at who Haro's marked. Marking Flawless.
Of course, you're jungling, man. If he ever walks at you, it's better to have the mark on him just in case. Even the vision placed by Rogue Warriors in this instance being unlocked to go over to the Scuttle Crab. Ensure that it's his. Deny them for as long as you possibly can. Make sure that he doesn't scale up with that damage.
And this is Flawless actually stepping into the jungle of Haro. It's been almost completely cleared out.
He should know.
Aside from Krugs on the far side.
You know it's cleared. What he's trying to do at the very least is get the cooldowns on the mini-map reset, so he does know the timings when they're back up and available. The Gromp and the Wolves should be up relatively soon as well, especially because they started on the bottom side of the Rift with that full clear. The leash complements of the Alistar and the Varus.
That does mean Haro's on the opposite side of the map for now. He takes Scuttle Crab. Mouse is pushed just a little bit far forward, and Haro will step in, try to get just a bit of vision of Rogue Warriors jungle. Just placed a ward. That was immediately pinged out. Rogue Warriors, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't spot him, but they did spot the wards. They're very vigilant with their mini-map perusing here. I would say Mouse in particular for that one. So that's good. And what you're looking for regarding that is if they found an opportunity to get a gank up, look at the state of this lane as well. It was always going to be a real possibility to get the kill, or at least chunk him out, teleport perhaps to get forced. But not to be in this instance. Mouse still gets control. Bottom lane still had control from Rogue Warriors. Mid lane, fairly even. You know, Scout's putting all of his resources towards clearing the wave, never to leave the lane. This is a very comfortable and cozy position for Rogue Warriors to start the game off in. It's about that next step, the next progression. You know, can Flawless invade? Can he get a gank off?
Looks like that's the next step right there. Harassing the bottom lane. iBoy doesn't even care that Killua is in front. He's already got his eyes glued to SMLZ's health bar and chunks him down.
And that's utilizing the wave accordingly, of course. When you've got extra minions, you can fight in that minion wave. There's no opportunity for Rogue Warriors to want to turn around and trade. It was crowd control used by Killua just to disengage, but now he goes forward.
Another one tags in. He's knocked back. Killua holding on to that flash. Trundle is on the way. Mako turns around. The arrow. iBoy flashes
Where's the
forward.
teleports?
Flawless is trying to get in there, but SMLZ baits him in. The Pillar of Filth. iBoy doesn't have enough for the kill. Chompado, and he's able to get one. Doinby trading with Haro in the mid lane. That's heal being used. Mako trying to collapse. They've got Flash, but he's caught up, and Doinby's under the turret.
Respect Flash from Doinby there as well. Mako was just nearby. Perhaps he could have gone for the play with his own Flash, but they choose not to. And so everyone just uses summoners and they start to disengage. SMLZ lived with about 10 health. He did not have a lot to his name, and that was super close. But no teleports. Not a single top laner saw the opportunity. Even the observer was going towards the wards on your screen. He's like, right here, this is the spot where EDG die. But the teleport wasn't available. And you'd have to imagine that's because they were tracking each other in that top lane 1v1. Protecting and preventing even an opportunity to teleport.
And that's the vigilance that both of these teams are bringing to bear in this playoff match. These semifinals. No opportunity for mistakes, because mistakes will cost you dearly against a team as powerful as EDG after that showing in Game 1. Still, though, it's only 1-1 in kills. EDG are going to start opening up a bit of gold for themselves. We're seeing a CS advantage for Ray in the top lane. Just a touch, only about 4.
I mean, one other place as well you have to look is that the kill did go over to iBoy, whereas to contrast that, Flawless picks it up, and that's a big deal for what is usually going to be a Tiamat rush. Just picked it up for himself there, but the lead still belongs towards EDG in the 2v2, having that kill on the Varus. Guinzu's Rageblade coming out that little bit sooner can mean a great deal, especially when you already have control of the 2v2.
Now on your screen you can see Mako. He is first in lane kills in supports in the league. 22 kills with his new AD carry, iBoy. And there is a reason that he is one of the best supports in the league, if not the entire
Scout
world.
level 6 right now, actually looking towards bottom lane. There's a chance he
Weaver's
could
wall.
ult in.
Yeah, Haro will step in and clear out that ward. SMLZ and Killua immediately backing away. They place a ward as 4 members of EDG and Ray with teleport on the map.
This is the same play that they did in the first game. They just do not have as large a lead. They wanted to deny the bulk of those minions away from SMLZ. Continue to keep him down and do not let him get ahead. It's a nice little play from them. It's not a massive power play by any stretch, but it is something that keeps Rogue Warriors occupied and forces them to come to places that EDG are choosing. And keeping that momentum, keeping that control and tempo does do wonders for the moment that you choose to make the dive instead. And right now you can see they are still trying to go forwards.
Another Zenith Blade from Killua to try and trade back, but Mako happily dissuades it. Flawless is level 6, though. Ray will step up and try to contest this blue buff that Doinby looks to take solo, or at the very least bait into taking.
Yeah, Flawless is very strong. So there is a real opportunity that he is able to impact a lane in some way. Mid lane's always an opportunity for him, of course. It is hard to gank Scout, who has the flash, but he doesn't have the heal. So knowing that his mid laner doesn't have summoner spells either, I mean, you could even counter gank and just be a superior counter ganker. Right now, he's threatening bottom lane.
This wave is coming in. He turns towards iBoy. Who's the target? Mako's only level 5. SMLZ looks to follow up and chase it down. He's able to get the solo kill onto iBoy. Teleport from Ray gets him in, but it's 5 members of EDG. Knock up, but he's a stun. Weaver's wall gets Scout in, but he hops off that train before going down. Turret will trade another as SMLZ chases Scout around. Haro is there, and he is level 5. Rogue Warriors lose 1, but they're still trying to take more.
They only lose 1, they do kill 3 in the end, so still a worthwhile trade, and the minions crash to the turret. Look at the damage the outer turret has experienced for itself too. Rogue Warriors making a big play. That was actually a super important moment. That was utilizing Flawless. He's now 3-0. He is starting to become very strong, and because Killua is tanking, Flawless has free time to just destroy iBoy's health bar pretty much in the 1v1. Note that he's fed, he's got the Tiamat. Comes in and picks up that second kill. Personally would have preferred if that went over to one of the other carries, but then the dive follows up and continues here. SMLZ also does pick that one up. So in the end, whilst the top laners do trade their lives, SMLZ gets a kill, and that equalizes the bottom lane as well.
That's exactly what we heard from the analyst desk. Unlock the jungle of Flawless. Let him move around the map and try to make something happen, and immediately it sees results, evening up the gold between the two teams. That will be 3 kills now onto that Trundle. And while teleport isn't available for both top laners, there's still incentive to hang out bottom. Infernal Dragon is the first of the game, as Killua trades a stun with Mako.
And Mako down a level as well, still trying to play around them and perhaps pressure them just that little bit more. Of course, knowing where Flawless is on the opposite side of the map enables him to be able to pressure forwards just that little bit more. And iBoy has got his Chains of Corruption himself, respectively. For the most part, the game is not at a point where it's going to slow down. It's actually about to speed up with the level 6 possibilities. But if the level 6 is a wash and nothing happens, you want to utilize the Trundle for Rogue Warriors. He wants to be your pivot point because he is just so strong currently. But still, hasn't got big items by any means. Is just dealing a lot of damage and can be killed quickly. So that's where you look to EDG and you're like, okay, Alistar, Varus, Talia, once again, very good at picking people off when they're out of position. I don't particularly see how the Kindred fits into the early to mid game with their skirmishes they're trying to get, unless it's more of a defensive or a diving enabling option. But even then, how does the Kindred enable the dive if you misplace the ultimate? Something that is sometimes very hard to do.
So far, it's not quite worked out for them, but they're looking to go bottom. Weaver's Wall not used just yet, as Killua in the front is soaking all of the damage. Tries to go over the wall, even flashes, but Haro picks up the kill. Another trade as SMLZ lands some Plasma. Flawless trying to chase up. but there's no Pillar of Filth to catch up to EDG.
It was a little bit slow here, Rogue Warriors on the rotation. Doinby and Flawless not here in time, and Kahlua already caught out of position. And that's not just that Rogue Warriors were slow, it's that EDG are fast. When they know the play is going to be made, they have the vision set up and they're standing in the correct place to make it. They make it with no hesitation. That means the Rogue Warriors just run down as fast as they can, try and perhaps get a trade-off. They were just a little bit too slow to the punch this time around. So EDG bounce back, they fight back, and they prove that they are not just going to lose momentum and give anything to Rogue Warriors for free.
Yeah, still dead even in gold between the two teams, and still huge incentive to look for that Infernal Dragon for both teams. But SMLZ holds down the fort with Flawless in the bottom lane and is able to keep himself safe. Doinby completes himself a recall, continuing to look for that Abyssal Mask. And Flawless, oh, is he actually starting off that Infernal Dragon right now?
Trundle can do it very successfully.
Yeah, sees the recall from iBoy and says, it's go time.
Trundle's one of those few junglers that also looks at it super early on into the game if he wanted to, but he's going to wait till level 8, finds an opportunity to sneak in there. Look at Scout and Haro. If they know he's here, they could sprint straight in, but it looks like it might be too late regardless.
And Flawless taking the Infernal Dragon, previously of Aime, and before that, Spenu. Not exactly known for his spectacular performances on teams in the past, always known as a highlight hunter player. And it turns out when you give him a champion that can actually carry in a style, he will start to succeed for the team. And it seems to be fitting for Rogue Warriors in this game, too, that it's Flawless who is stepping up. His first LPL playoffs ever.
He's always been a big part of the team of Rogue Warriors for this split as well, really stepped up individually as a player, and you're starting to see that all come to a head in big moments, but such is Flawless. There will be lows where there are highs for him, and this particular game is a great opportunity for Flawless to have a high moment, to step up for his team and be a carry, not just someone that's going to facilitate the rest of the team. He can do that right now. EDG can still deal with a Trundle quite successfully, so what he needs to do is get the team with him, bring them up to his speed.
And this is where we look to Rogue Warriors as a group of friends, more so than a group of players. So often when we talk about them being an emotional team, it's because you can clearly see they laugh together, they cry together, they, whatever SMLZ does together.
They all make Clear Love Shout food for EDG.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. They do everything together.
You're exactly right. But will Flawless be able to help his team over the line this time? He's at the very least setting up to get them through this early game as he's set up that gank bottom, taken that early Infernal Dragon, and now seems to be setting up bottom once again. Mako with a ward over the wall sees this, and immediately iBoy and Mako, they've got to make up their mind. Do they stay or do they go?
It's good awareness from EDG to know it's coming, and it looks like they want to deal with this. They want to fight this.
Doinby's in the wall. He's able to get Mako. Zenith Blade as they turn onto him, but look at the damage. They've managed to kill Flawless. Mouse has joined the fight, and already we can see Haro hops in. Ray in the backline finds Doinby and is able to track him down. EDG collapse faster and collapse better. SMLZ tries to dodge, but gets scooped right back in. SMLZ is doing damage, but it's not enough. Mako chases him down. He will go low, and he's going to be denied by the Lamb's Respite. All 7 members stacked up. The health bars get traded over, and EDG with an ace without losing a single person.
Still clean from EDG. Pushing forwards now will get themselves the second turret of the game, their first outer turret to be seen. And that's the moment you wait for. Usually EDG are attributed to diving you at 10 minutes into the game, 12 minutes into the game. Go aggressive, make a 5-man play. But when you're against Rogue Warriors, you know they're going to do that to you. So why not counterplay it? Why not be so vigilant and just be ready for that moment? They see the moment, they take it, and they beat Rogue Warriors at it.
At least in that fight. Flawless, though, is chasing down Scout. He's still holding on to that flash. Level 11 to Flawless's level 9, but Doinby decides not to follow up. And here's that play again. Rogue Warriors think they've got it, but they do not.
And the flick is just so well done from Scout as well. The wall blocks them off. Picture perfect moment there from EDG. And whilst Mouse comes in, it doesn't mean a great deal because he's already there as an afterthought. All of the crowd control that enables the Kaiser Ornn combo, it's not going to be something that actually enables them to win any follow-up fights because of how well EDG were prepared to counterplay any kind of dives. It was the second time the Rogue Warriors have attempted this play. The first time it actually worked. They did catch EDG a little bit by surprise, but you're never going to fool them twice. Not in the lane where their shot caller is.
So often we see Haro called the working man's jungler, able to make things happen for EDG as he furiously chews his gum to get his team over the line and carry them. He didn't want to lose a single member. He ulted to keep Mako alive when there were 2 members there, and it ended up paying off. Absolutely risky, but hey, if it works, it works. And now 15 minutes in, we see the rotation from SMLZ and Killua towards that top side of the map. Ray is bottom, but EDG are already prepared.
I will say this is a situation where Rogue Warriors are still reasonably strong, even after losing all of their members. You can see the gold starts to shift towards EDG. They are still very strong as a 5-man unit. They've got item spikes, and they are looking.
Solar Flare forces the flash out of iBoy. Mouse tries to hit someone but misses. It's a dive into the back line. SMLZ goes in. Doinby is already dead. SMLZ split from his team. There are no carries. Doinby is taking the turret, and Rogue Warriors are falling to pieces.
Just because I say you're strong does not mean you can have a very disjointed dive. SMLZ doesn't have the ultimate, but that was super close. Rogue Warriors, they step up. They think they see an opportunity. They know that Ray doesn't have the teleport. They know that they've got Mouse nearby, and they're thinking 4v5 to themselves, we can do this. But that was so disjointed, so ill-prepared for any attempts at a dive. And you better believe that EDG were already there to mount a defense. They know what Rogue Warriors are going to do, and they are fully prepared. From that moment, simply because EDG were able to mount a defense one more time, turrets actually drop. A lead actually grows from this, and now they are set up to snowball once again.
Rift Herald taken by EDG along with the mid-tier 1. Bottom tier 2 is a hair's breadth away from cracking. And Rogue Warriors seem like they might be in a similar situation in this series, as now, after coming out swinging in the beginning of this game, their last 2 plays have backfired massively. Can they afford to make a play like that again and just try to repeat and hope for success this time?
I mean, we're at a point in the game, like, the gold lead is only 4,000. You wouldn't be looking at it and saying, game over amount of money. But as the game progresses, there is a chance that Rogue Warriors, once again, can continue to try and hit late game team fights, be stronger in the 5v5. But that's if they can keep it at 4,000. If they can keep the game going at the current state, not lose too much more of the map, you might have to sacrifice a tower because of the Rift Herald. But ultimately, one more team fight lost, you would feel like it's going to be a little bit too much for Rogue Warriors to come back from.
Doinby is caught out by Mako, split off from his team, as I believe that was a panic petrifying gaze. Mouse using the Oran Horn to try and stall something out, but Rift Herald slams in with SMLZ and Killua top along with Flawless. There's nobody to defend mid.
Yeah,
the tier 2 is given up.
Rogue Warriors are trying to kill top lane still. Congratulations, consolation prize, you've killed Ray. Now you lose an inhibitor.
Yeah, absolutely a Pyrrhic victory for Rogue Warriors in taking that kill, but they've lost their inhibitor turret. They might just lose their inhibitor, and they might just lose their lives as Mouse goes down, and finally EDG go home after taking everything Rogue Warriors had to give.
And they go back towards an Ocean Drake before they even go to base to spend all of the money that they've just earned. Rogue Warriors have found a strategy. They have committed to the strategy, and nothing will deter them from this possibility. That is top lane. They have found it. They are roosting up there, but EDG are winning the game during that time. It's just that simple from EDG. Decision-making is, we have Herald. We're going to go towards mid lane. It is the easiest one to take. Rogue Warriors throughout all of this. It's a lot of damage from SMLZ. You're starting to see him come online, but so is everyone else on the opponent team.
That being said, Rusty, on the other hand, Rogue Warriors are only 3,500 gold down now. And they do have super minions pushing in to feed them gold in that mid lane.
If we're going to talk about mid lane as a funnel at 19 minutes into the game, that's absolutely true.
We've got to silver linings this, because Rogue Warriors, you're absolutely right. That was a very reckless play in trying to go for that trade, but they've got a lot of shred on the Kai'Sa. Runan's Hurricane is finished. We did see the Q evolve, as it's not a Gwinsu's build this time.
If you don't know who Rogue Warriors are as a team, that is something that they will do.
Absolutely.
Because no one expects them to do that, right? No one thinks you're going to be top lane, try and find a kill in the way that they did. And that did help a little bit. It contributes towards the gold closing once more. But the problem is, they've lost the mid lane inhib, so super minions push down that lane. And it makes it 10 times harder for them to sit there and continue to maintain mid lane priority when the Baron is now up as an objective. It spawns as we speak. EDG with super minions can just push it in, disappear into the river. Rogue Warriors then spend an extra 10 seconds clearing a super minion before they can even come up to the river. And that just gives way too much setup time for Edward Gaming to make plays as they would like.
And speaking of setup, they've already pushed in mid. They're already clearing out vision, moving as a 4-man unit with Ray split pushing on the other side with his teleport ready. Doinby is trying to hold the fort in that top lane, but it is so dangerous. We already talked about how a single piece of crowd control from EDG can lock you down permanently. Will they be able to hold the line here as Ray? I would be amazed if Mouse were even able to hold this single turret as the minions step up to finish it off, and a final headbutt locks it down. Ray is 2 levels ahead of the man he replaced, 70 CS up. Perhaps showing why.
And he's also building the split pushing build. Acknowledge that he's not only far ahead through his laning in the 1v1 because Mouse is never there, but he wants to make it even worse for him because they are stronger in a 4v4 sense. So keep Mouse nearby. Have a very good experience for EDG as the TLDR of the top laner here from him. Ray on his nah. It's good stuff. It's very smart, honestly, from him as well. Acknowledging that that is one of the ways they can continue to keep the snowball going in their favor. And meanwhile, EDG with the 4-man, the Varus, very good at picking people out from range. You couple that with the Talia shove, people will die. And because they're far ahead, even quicker than you would like.
And this is where we have to see Rogue Warriors play it carefully. They need to maintain vision. They cannot allow that Baron to go blind against a Varus, against a Talia. But you said that pick is so terrifying.
It's also about how do they actually even get vision. The super minion now pushing here. Look at all the people they have to bring to help defend that lane, just in case. Because EDG simply had presence in the area. And they're able to just move into the river. You see EDG hovering. And that's all they actually have to do. Sooner or later, the Scuttle Crab's going to expire, and it just did, which gives them an avenue into the lane if they would like. It's just that the ball is in their court. So whatever EDG choose to do, they should have the upper hand in it.
For now, it's just going to be a recall and reset. They allow their vision to lapse on the map just enough to give them time as their recall happens to have been synced with Rogue Warriors. SMLZ back out of base. You can see he's sitting just about 300 gold behind iBoy, so that Kaisa still scaling. And speaking of scales, Doinby on Cassiopeia, he's only about 500 gold behind Scout. Mako, in a completely unexpected way, gets caught out of position. EDG are going to try to rush to the rescue. SMLZ takes some damage. He resets into the backline. Lamb's Respite denies a lot of the kills. The shove flicks them out, but they get back in for the heals, and it's chaos. Rogue Warriors might be coming up big. iBoy goes big to answer back, though. He's trading it over. Flawless running for his life as iBoy gets a triple kill. Flawless, unlocked though he may be, goes down and pings onto the Nexus.
Big triple from iBoy. May have just given his team the Game 2 victory. They've got the super minions, but they choose not to. They'll go back towards the Baron. They've counted the death timers. They've said, no way. It's still too early in the game to get that one, so they push forwards. And from Mako being caught out of position, they still pull the rabbit out of the hat when Rogue Warriors may have found their entry into that game. And that's where you have to give credit to Haro. You'll hopefully see that in the replay as well, but his ultimate delayed the win by so much from Rogue Warriors that they do actually end up losing the fight. And they may die here.
Yeah, they're getting real low. Ray trying to retreat. Scout steps in to tank it. 400
That's
health.
one.
That's one. In the back is Scout, and it is finished off. We don't get one final AoE auto attack.
I feel like they just got so lucky the Baron got angry and decided to spit at them instead of auto attacking, or they were actually dead. We get to see the fight again. Mako caught out of position. Look at SMLZ as well going forwards here. Flash from Haro on the Kindred to keep his mid laner alive. And all of the time that he's bought, keeps Scout alive. Lets them continue to do damage, and lets iBoy actually just be a hero, walk into the back line, and just take everyone on Nero by himself. And EDG get the team fight as a result.
Mako absolutely on the edge of his seat for the duration of that fight, even escaping with his life at the very end, though he was the one that was caught, and now EDG back with the Baron. The inhib has respawned in the mid lane, but EDG are looking to fix that real quick.
And you really do see the dynamic of EDG in that last fight. Mako's out of position. You know they're 5-man collapsing to protect him. Scout's about to die. Oh no, not again, says Haro. Better flash and use my Kindred ultimate that we've designed for just this purpose.
And we do have to mention that this is a terrifying Kindred composition. You've got the Gnar ultimate to sweep people off of it, Talia flick, Alistar headbutt.
Yeah, they've
even
got a lot
if you
of
try to step up, you can get shoved right off.
It's a cute composition, of course. That may not be the core principle of it, but having that availability in clutch moments is actually super valuable for them. So the composition will love that a lot, especially now that they're far ahead.
Oh, again, Mako might have been caught by Flawless, but still, Doinby chases with some poison, just chunking him away. Doinby's actually got some pretty big damage, but it's not enough to dissuade EDG from still stepping up to try and kite this out. Infernal Dragon is the target.
EDG are looking to contest this one. Rogue Warrior still feeling decently strong, but too caught out of position.
Yeah, Flawless drops the Pillar of Filth. Mouse trying to zone them away from the side.
Horn's
Killer
out.
drops the wall. That's the Orn Horn and the knockup onto two. SMLZ goes in. That's one. Scout is down. That's two. And SMLZ, he's looking for a third. He's going to find it. Mouse denies the Quadra, but that is 4 kills to Rogue Warriors.
And Rogue Warriors pull a rabbit out of the hat this time. They've got the 2 Infernal Dragons. They seize the opportunity. Haro.
Oh, he's found SMLZ and gets an assassination deep behind enemy lines.
Finds himself well in the backline. Will get a trade kill in the end, but EDG still lose the team fight. Rogue Warriors are the ones who come out ahead with a dragon to boot. And that is something that you do not want to see if you're an EDG fan. Because remember, that gold leader stagnated at around 4,000. That was the one thing we said, that EDG need to just continue to snowball, get a little bit further ahead. They find an inhibitor. Rogue Warriors find the same gold difference that they found 10 minutes ago and keep themselves within team fight distance. And you see that team fight right now. The Orn enabling, the Leona focusing the backline when he's caught out of position. Kulua, great awareness. Rogue Warriors, the big team fight victory.
Absolutely. That's going to still keep it at about 4,000 between the two, but Scout and iBoy standing together for 1 instant and immediately Rogue Warriors punished. They may have been smashed game 1, but they are bringing their A game in this game 2.
And just a little bit lacking on the front to back there from EDG. A big part of the composition strengths, like we've mentioned a couple of times now, is the Kindred ultimate saving the carries. It actually prevents SMLZ from doing exactly what he did, which is going into the back line on a solo mission and trying to assassinate people, because you can't assassinate someone when a Kindred's nearby. So the front to back was a bit of a miss there from EDG, something that they should be looking to improve in the future. If Mako has to engage, then Haro needs to protect his carries.
Now top tier 1 has been taken in the meanwhile, though EDG may have lost that fight and lost the Infernal Dragon along with the Baron buff. They're still very much in the driver's seat for this game, pushing minions in time and again. That middle inhibitor still wide open. If they ever find a fight or an opportunity, it's a quick sprint down mid.
This is one of those games, though, where I don't want to put a timer on it, but you've got that feeling that Rogue Warriors are starting to outscale just that little bit here. The team fighting of the Orn, Kaiser, Leona, and the Cassiopeia. Even though 0-3, 3 completed items is plenty of damage and starting to scale up himself respectively. It still feels like we're getting to that point in the game. And I think one more teamfight victory from Rogue Warriors may just tip it back into their favor. Whilst the map is controlled by EDG, you can see the respect they're now starting to show, the patience and how slow they want to now move around objectives and perhaps getting picks starting to be evidenced.
Mouse over the wall with his Call of the Forge God, ready to find a pick if he needs to. Doinby on the other side with his phase rush. Just looking for an opening, looking for an opportunity, but as vigilant as ever. EDG don't let themselves get picked off. And they're just going to start pressing this vision line forward once again. The next dragon will be Mountain. Should be spawning relatively soon in the next 3 minutes or so.
There's no Baron to be looking towards. There's no major objective on the map to be seen. Rogue Warriors put all their focus and vision on the top side river. You can see that on your mini-map. Now EDG start to try and press into the red side jungle to at least get some semblance of control. And that's important for their composition. If they don't have the vision, EDG, they can't really make the plays. Rogue Warriors, less reliant on just outright having the vision, more reliant on having access to the backline. That's how they want to navigate fights. So if they know where iBoy is, they can pick him out. If they know where Mako is alone in the front line placing wards, then they can actually try and chunk him out and get the ultimate. So that's about defensive vision as the Ornhorn.
Call of the Forge God used in bottom lane. Ray with a sidestep, though. It could have been Rogue Warriors looking for a pick, but that's a huge engage now missing. Red buff still taken by SMLZ.
Yeah.
And still Ray pushing in that bottom lane.
Doesn't matter too much, though. Again, no major objective on the map for another minute or so. Orn will have the ultimate available one more time.
Top lane pushing in for Rogue Warriors, so they don't have to worry about that for now. They just have to play EDG's game down on this bottom half without giving anything up. 2 minutes for that Mountain Dragon, 60 seconds for the Baron.
Just the dance, just back and forth. If they find the pick, they set themselves up for the Baron engage. That's what Rogue Warriors were looking towards. EDG controlling vision on the bottom side to let Ray split push. That's a future investment from them when the Baron does come up and available. You'll see them all recall, get more control wards and vision, but they won't just immediately place down every ward they have if Ray is still pushing, and he is. He's choosing not to go back to base. He's got the Blade of the Ruin King set up for himself. 3 offensive items. He is going to keep Mouse down there and put the pain train on him.
Level 17 to 14, too. 100 CS ahead, nearly 90 at this point. And still, Mouse, he's trying to hold on in that bottom lane.
It just doesn't matter what team Mouse is on, does it? It's just the same experience for him anywhere he goes.
Same thing. And it's the most tragic, too, because he's literally playing against his replacement, the person who filled the role of the top lane for EDG with Mouse's departure. That said, though, he's going to have to show us something here because Baron is spawning. Rogue Warriors are actually pushing up in the mid lane to take lane control, and Mouse is already there. That means the inhibitor is undefended, and Rogue Warriors, they are forcing this issue. They've got Shred on the Kaisa.
And Cassiopeia, if they both get to hitting the objective, it's already at half health. It may just be gone.
Haro trying to step forward. That's the Weaver's Wall, locking them all into the pit like
trapped.
fish in a barrel. Flick has found Killua. Chains of Corruption. SMLZ sidesteps. Doinby goes in.
Oh,
and he flashes forward. A huge stun as he sets up for his team. Lamb's Respite resets the fight. But still, Rogue Warriors are trying to back out of this without getting caught out. Another Pillar of Filth, and they will make it over with that displacement. Still, SMLZ tries to escape. Pinned against the wall. Doinby, he's locked down. Mako is the target, and SMLZ shreds through him. Ray tries to get the Ignite kill on the backside as it's a fight on two fronts. SMLZ cleaning it up. A triple kill. He looks for Scout, gets huge damage. Ray tries to get more, and he will force the split decision. Scout back up, will turn over another kill. Finally, the auto attack from Flawless. They did lose Mouse, but Stake, you can see hands in the air because another fight win for Rogue Warriors.
A victorious fight from Rogue Warriors and the Baron secured by them. They get to reset. Only Mouse goes down. That hurts a little bit with the split pusher losing the Baron buff, but how empowered they now feel. We said one more fight may be all it takes. Well, they get the team fight. They force out Haro's Kindred ultimate early, and even when they don't have the flashes, they disengage, they wait for the correct moment, and then they pounce, then they press forwards. EDG definitely on the back foot from this point.
Look at where Ray is. He's behind them. Spotted out by a ward with that perhaps odd positioning. He might have been looking to catch Doinby or Flawless out of position as they push, but the Tier 2 is taken along with the Tier 1. Mountain Dragon is also taken, and Rogue Warriors, they're getting closer and closer to gold in EDG. Now the second fight in a row that they've won.
And this is, remember, Haro has no ultimate, so watch the way SMLZ chooses to go forwards here. Once the call has been made, Mouse sacrifices himself to enable the Kaiser going forwards. That's the combo that you expect. You know your role as the top laner. He's down 100 CS. Does not matter. He is the team fighting player. Scout stuck in a corner. Almost gets himself a kill here and there. A couple of hundred health, but the Tiamat's too strong.
Gifting that kill over as SMLZ coming up huge in that fight. Mouse against his former team from the graveyard leans over, and you guys saw that, right?
I did this for you.
Set up the 3 kills. He gets to feel some love from the fans as he will now try to push back with the rest of Rogue Warriors. They've got Baron for 70 seconds, already breaking down that mid and top tier 2.
Now, they don't have a banner of command. So with this Baron buff, they can't just walk up to a single lane and break down a structure for free. They're going to have a look at it because their composition excels at the team fighting front to back. But with the Baron buff, they need to set up side lanes. And what we didn't see during that replay is exactly that. You look at top lane, it's starting to push. Bottom lane now has Mouse down there as well. He doesn't have a Baron, but he has got control of that lane. The rest of Rogue Warriors hover between mid and bottom. They want to use that pivot point with vision control, secure themselves some objectives because they are feeling strong.
They certainly are. Turning onto the Tier 2 with that minion wave. It's going to be sacrificed by EDG to attempt to appease Rogue Warriors' push here. Still, this is a very threatening push. SMLZ is level 16. His range is massive if he's just able to catch up with someone and pick them off. But Rogue Warriors going to continue to press and push. Look for an opening. EDG, after a very convincing game 1, now find themselves trying to hold the fort in this game 2.
They do still have a lot of potential here, EDG, if they pick someone out of position. Rogue Warriors aren't perfect with position, but the horn is in.
They're all stacked up on the inhib. Mouse goes forward. Weaver's Wall to deny the engage. Mouse goes low again and goes down. The wall allows Flawless and Doinby to escape.
Ask and ye shall receive, I suppose. That's what the composition excels at. That's where EDG find themselves still in this game. Mouse still not the Baron user of the team, so the second death for him. Tragic as the teleport user, but he still has that teleport if Rogue Warriors want to press up one more time and use that little bit of the Baron that they had left, now of course gone. They still have control of the map. That's the most important part. Elder and Baron will be up fairly similar in their timings.
For now, though, not too much for them to take. They've cleared out all the turrets. They're trying to press all of these minion waves in. Red buff is spawning, so that could be something that Rogue Warriors look towards, but already Scout sitting just outside of vision. He will be spotted on his way over there. Scryer's Bloom And the rest of EDG see this.
And things that are important, of course, if a fight happens in the next minute or so is Scout no ultimate, iBoy no ultimate. The ranged pick that they want to have EDG is currently missing. So if Rogue Warriors press forwards and utilize the Leona ultimate as an example of their own, they may be able to pick someone out with no counter from EDG. It's about the vision control this time around, though, and there's no vision on the map at all because they've both been out for so much time dealing and looking at each other that all of the wards have actually expired. So it is going to be shopping time.
Yes, recall's now going to be finished off for a few folks. SMLZ so close to 6 items. He did go for the Mercurial Scimitar 4th and Infinity Edge 3rd, as that was the the crit build. Still not quite finishing off his final item, though. We'll see what that recurve bow turns into. The Gwinsu's obviously
should be
something that we look towards. iBoy still right behind him at 4 items in a QSS on his own.
Yeah, both AD carries are super strong, and that's actually the most exciting part about the rest of this game. You've got your tanks that are facilitating. You've got your damage dealers that are very similar in the Cassiopeia and the Taliyah that poke you down, perhaps protect their AD carries as they do damage. They can make plays, they can defend. It's whatever you want to do. An individual outplays is what you look at for Scout and DoinB. But SMLZ and iBoy are massive. And if a fight ever breaks out, everyone's goal should be either protect the carry or kill the carry. That is the #1 game plan. It's just so hard to do against EDG. And Alistar with the ultimate can stop himself from being caught. A Kindred with the ultimate can stop iBoy from dying. So they need to be constantly poking in and out to force spells.
Rogue Warriors are absolutely going to have to. We have to remember the greater context of this game. If Rogue Warriors drop this game 2 after making a comeback in the series, that halts all of the momentum. They just fought so hard to try and claim, making that game 3 even more difficult. That said, if they find themselves with a win, this series ties up at 1-1, and we'll have quite a fun match on our hands.
And the ball's definitely in Rogue Warriors' court to secure that first game for themselves. The objectives coming up, you can see it in the top left. You look at the vision before we go to those objectives, and Rogue Warriors, they've placed the wards, they've got the recalls, they've got extra wards in their inventory if they want to. They are set to succeed around the Baron buff. It's the #1 priority.
Knockups are ready. That's a flick. Flawless goes in. He's split from his team by a melee Weaver's Wall. Lands Respite, tries to stall the fight. DoinB and SMLZ in the back find Ray, but he's not quite mega just yet. Another flick, as it's a fight on 2 fronts, but Rogue Warriors think they might want to take this.
They choose to disengage. That's the best case scenario. Kindred's ultimate is gone. Every ultimate but Ray's on the Mega Gnar is missing, and he's actually starting to get a bit tired there. The Mega Gnar's going to drop soon.
Look at the shred. That's
he has to
SMLZ.
go now.
He gets forward slam into the wall, and the Baron is stolen. SMLZ is dead. A huge play from Scout. The fight still happens as Haro goes in. iBoy finally catches up, but Rogue Warriors without SMLZ are relying on a miracle, but they do not have it. They don't lose a single member. They get 4 kills. They get the Baron.
They choose their opportunity. They make it work perfectly, and EDG get everything they need, including the Baron buff. Compliments of Scout somehow taking that in the mess of the fight that broke out. Now they push forwards, and they have got a lot of time to threaten ending this game immediately.
30 seconds on the clock for SMLZ. Mouse is alive, does not have his ultimate just yet. It's getting close. He's going to try and defend, but EDG as 5 onto the Nexus. Call of the Forge God, but he can't even headbutt it because he's knocked under the fountain. EDG relentless in this game to turn to the Nexus, smash it down, and are now on match point.
And once again, you see the class from EDG waiting for the perfect moment to go for the fight. You know full well the Baron is the place to look. They don't need the absolute best vision control. They just need to poke in and out, get some health bars missing, get an opportunity to push forwards, and you give them that one opportunity, they take the entire game from it.
And that's the emotion we were talking about. Game 2 defeat after all of that effort, and now up against insurmountable odds. Rogue Warriors are going to have to try and make a comeback against an unstoppable-looking Edward Gaming. Still, the fans are on their side. Mouse lets out a laugh and a smile. It's going to be a heck of a journey, but Rogue Warriors, can they do it? Can they climb the mountain that is EDG?
There is hope for Rogue Warriors based off that second game. A much better performance from them overall, staying close to as close as they can to even going down earlier on in the game. The biggest mistake that actually lost them the entire thing, whilst there was also the Baron fight, was choosing to lose the inhibitor in the middle lane. It gave EDG free access to just ending the game after they got that Baron. And you can look at that game and still take good things from Rogue Warriors. And those good things need to be replicated coming into the next game. They just need to shore up the weaknesses. And I do think there are certain aspects that you could remedy, perhaps through the draft phase. But overall, I mean, Flawless had a much better performance. That's a place you have to look at and say that's a big win.
It's exactly what we heard from the analyst desk. Unlock Flawless and you'll see rewards. They focused the bottom lane with Flawless, got those early kills, took that turret and unlocked SMLZ. And though it was a bit risky going for that inhibitor trade, they were able to equalize with SMLZ's Kai'Sa later on. You can see the massive damage that he was doing, but even bigger than that, Scout. 29,200 damage to try and turn that game back in favor for EDG. And now back in their locker rooms, Rogue Warriors, they're going to have to reset for the second time in this series if they want to try and compete with the most dominant team in LPL history, Edward Gaming.
And it's not just the 0-1 anymore, it's the 0-2. It's backs well and truly against the wall, and that one extra moment now loses the whole thing.
We're about to find out, though. In order to get a little bit more on this series, let's hear from our analyst to break down what EDG did right.
Thank you so much, Dominic. And I mean, if you're just tuning in and you see that 2-0, that does not tell the story of how this series has gone, especially not that second game. I mean, I thought it was dead to rights. Rogue Warriors would pick up that win after the reverse, but we just another reversal, and EDG managed to pick up the second game, and we're now on match point.
Man, thank goodness I predicted 3-0 EDG. Otherwise, I'd be sweating bullets.
Wait a minute.
Hang on.
Revisionist. Miss Revisionist. Wait a second. Now, I remember you believing that they would be able to take it back. And there were moments in this game where I was sweating, all right? There were moments in this game where SMLZ was not going to let it go. But thankfully, the structure came back for EDG.
And speaking of structure, let's start this one in the draft, because I think we definitely have to touch on the fact that Kindred was picked up in this game. For us, take this one away.
Okay, the purpose of Kindred here is to deny the backline assassination. And we saw it repeatedly, that when Kai'Sa tags someone with her W, when the Pillar of Truth comes up and procs one of the plasmas, when she wants to dive with the ultimate, he immediately pops the ult, and there's nothing that she can do. It suddenly denies the cooldown. She has to wait again. She has to reset. And then they chain CC her with all of the available CC on that team comp.
And the second aspect of that is the jungle matchup as well. A lot of people have been taking Trundle to be the end-all be-all greatest skirmishing champion. But the best way to deal with it is just match it with damage, match it with range. Kindred is one of those. Graves is another. Thankfully, we get to see the Kindred. So early on, Trundle couldn't get to really have much of an impact in the matchup and allowed Kindred to farm it through.
So again, Reddit, looking at you. Kai'Sa's now lost 2 games, and EDG are effectively using Kai'Sa as a bear trap. They're leaving it up and they're saying, go ahead, pick it, I dare you. But this game has been all about the lane phase and all about the Varus.
Man, Frost is calling everyone out today, but just
I'll
to
flame
double down. I don't care. I'm indiscriminate. I'll flame literally anybody. But let's go ahead and take a look at one of these replays here, and just to demonstrate this point on the Kai'Sa and the Kindred interaction. And this starts on a very long and stringy fight here, but it does go EDG's way.
And again, what Raz is talking about, the fact that they did have, the Trundle versus Kindred matchup, yes, it helps, but it's also about unlocking Flawless, that they're even making a play like this. And what's going to happen is SMLZ is going to be absolutely denied by the Kindred ultimate when she wants to get in and start making these assassinations. So people are getting low health, it's looking scary, uh-oh, here comes Kindred. Now Kai'Sa's just going to get locked down and killed.
And that's the major point of worry if you're or at least if you're Kai'Sa, because like, when do you find an opportunity to look for those backline assassinations? There were points in the game where he actually was able to do that. SMLZ had to be creative in how we went in. There was a dragon fight specifically that comes to mind where he was able to find 2 to 3 people just because Haro was focused on the dragon. He recognized that. He recognized the Ornn ultimate was going to be able to proper setups too. So there was no Haro ultimate to be able to save him.
Now, that being said, we did see Rogue Warriors actually execute in that game. We saw a good couple team fights, and it was the reason why Rogue Warriors were able to come back into that game, is they finally managed to execute around this Kai'Sa pick.
Yeah, because it still speaks about the strengths of Kai'Sa, especially when you set her up for a composition. I'm not saying never pick Kai'Sa. She's a bad pick. She's an awesome pick. Please continue to play this champion. She's super fun to watch. SMLZ dodging the QW combos on Alistar by using his ult. But in this specific comp, it's very similar to what RNG ran against Invictus Gaming. You have the Trundle, you have the Pillar of Filth, you're able to proc long-range displacement for the Plasma. You have the Miasma, which works so well against Alistar, and then can lock people down, and then you have the Call of the Forge God, which, again, another displacement. So there's a ton of tools, and when EDG over-chase, get caught in these choke points, Kai'Sa can run amok.
And I know that we're kind of tunneling on the pick specifically. I think what Rogue Warriors are doing for themselves, they're tunneling on what composition is
one play style.
Exactly, one play style of hyperscaling and getting to those team fights, because not only are they losing in the bottom lane specifically, but mid lane they're getting pushed in because they're constantly finding themselves bad matchups into the Talia, and then top lane, the Gnar pick is doing quite well for Ray.
And the scary thing is that Rogue Warriors got to that late game, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And when we look at that late game, we actually have a fight to demonstrate that one, because we did see good stuff out of the Rogue Warriors composition, as you were saying, able to position in the backline. We saw the mechanics coming out of SMLZ. As we take a look at this Baron fight right here, we can see the elements that do actually work in the end for Rogue Warriors.
And a huge problem here is that the Kindred ultimate gets used at the very beginning of the fight. Kai'Sa's going to step to the side. She's going to throw at the W, looks to tag, immediately Kindred ultimate to deny any sort of backline assassination onto the Varus. Once it wears off, there's no reason that EDG should continue to chase here. Yes, they end up winning the series, but this is what costs them big, chasing into a Kai'Sa comp.
And on top of that, I mean, we were calling out, oh, go on top of Cassiopeia, but remember that Alistar doesn't have the ultimate as well, because they were utilizing that in the previous fight when Cassio went and utilized her ultimate. So at this point, amazing opportunity for Rogue Warriors to get that backline damage once the resources were already used in the previous fight.
Yeah, and huge credit to Mouse right there, finding that incredible knock-up on top of, I believe, a miasma from Dwayne B.
I mean, this really just begs the question, should we keep picking Kai'Sa if we are Rogue Warriors? Because we see how it works. You're saying it's a great champion for us.
Absolutely
We've
not.
seen it out of Uzi yesterday. 3 games in a row looked fantastic, but right now, it just doesn't seem to be working for them. Frost, I already got your answer. Raz, how are you feeling?
I think a Kai'Sa is fine as long as you have mid push. We're finding opportunities where bottom lane's getting dived repeatedly, and if we're just going to be losing out, bleeding out in every single lane, Kai'Sa doesn't look good. But if you have an opportunity to extend an mid-game advantage for Doinb, and so he could be the one aggressing bottom lane and maybe be getting these long lane fights for themselves, and that's a positive. But if it comes down across the board, Rogue Warriors are losing every lane, then of course it looks bad.
Yeah, I will agree. I think where Rogue Warriors are actually losing is in that jungle mid, and really doesn't have anything to do. It's leaking down into Kai'Sa, but it doesn't start with Kai'Sa.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, Kai'Sa needs to get rolling in that early game, you know, and it seems like just getting shut down so often. It was just a miracle that they were able to come back into that game right there. We'll see if we'll actually find a clean sweep right here, because EDG 2-0 in this set. We'll find out right after this break.